Welcome. Welcome to the Divorce Whisperer live Facebook event. My name is Marta Papa, and I'm your host for this event. We meet we broadcast the first and third Friday of every month. And the purpose for this broadcast is for you to meet experts that I've met over the past 30 years that have helped my clients get divorced in a sane way and in a way that gets them what they need. There's so much going through their head. There's so much pressure, so many decisions to be made. They aren't experts in any of these decisions, and they need help. And so I have found that help for clients along the way. But you don't need me to find that help. I'm going to tell you places where you can get that help. So on the first and third Friday of every month, I invite a divorce expert who is a favorite of mine, and I'm gonna have them tell you how they can help you. And the way I do that is I ask them the following question: if you had someone in your family or friends that are facing divorce, and you're concerned about them getting what they need to move comfortably through the future, and you're concerned about their emotional health and getting through the grief process of the divorce, I ask these people to be on this broadcast, and I ask them one question: if you have somebody in your group or family that's getting divorced, and you're really worried about them, and you could only give them one piece of advice. You got 82, but if you only give them one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be? And then I let them expound on it so that you can see what they can do. And if you are in a situation where you think, ooh, that person could help me, or that person could help my brother or my neighbor, then this broadcast is only a half an hour, and we put it beginning Monday. We put it on YouTube, and you can go to YouTube and type in Ask the Divorce Whisperer, and all of my podcasts or broadcasts are there in a row. And the person I'm talking to, their name is at the bottom, their contact information and phone numbers at the bottom. So if you think they would be helpful to you or someone else, one, you can watch the broadcast again or have someone watch it with you that you're worried about. Two, you can call them and ask them for advice and see if they can help you. All right. So that's the whole, it's kind of spreading the wealth of knowledge of experts, because you cannot do it alone. So I'm really excited to introduce you to one of my favorite experts. Her name is Bethany. I get her name wrong with her. Bethany DeMaggio. And she is in real estate, and she not only does real estate, but she has a special certification in helping people who are getting divorced make really good decisions, logical decisions about real estate. And then she can help you with the real estate if you need that also. And she has a whole team that helps her also. So let me turn it over to Bethany for a minute. And Bethany, as well as introducing yourself, could you tell our listeners about the special certification that you have? So I'm going to turn it over to you, Bethany.
Thanks for having me, Marta. I'm excited to be here with you and with your community and with our community.
Yes.
So I'm a realtor here in St. Louis, but first and foremost, I'm a mom of 3 kids, and I have personally been divorced. So I
a lot of experience.
There's unfortunately, I come by it honestly. So part of that, and serving my clients, I found several of them who, were in the process of divorce, and was approached by a fellow colleague who had asked if I had heard of a divorce designation, and it was special classes that sort of helped prepare you with more tools for your clients who were navigating the divorce process. And so I, last year, probably it was in the fall of in 2021, it was a 3-day course that I took. And I received a RCS-D designation, which basically is a residential collaborative specialist divorce. And it prepared me to be a better asset to people who are navigating the process. And they don't even have to get divorced, but they could be considering it. Yes. They could be considering it, they could be mediating. But it's for me, it has helped me assemble a team that specializes in getting the documents and the information for these couples to help them make better decisions as they navigate the divorce. So that's why I did it. And I think that to be honest, it serves all my clients well, because it just helps me to give them a more complete picture of the information they need when they're making decisions about their largest financial asset, at least for most people. So, but that's a little bit about me.
Yes, thank you. And that's what makes her special. She just doesn't buy and sell houses, help people do that. She's also been through the divorce process, knows all the emotional things that hit you at the same time: fear, anger, frustration, shame, blame. What do I do with my kids? You have to go back to work. All this stuff is flooding people that are getting divorced, and they just aren't. It's not that they aren't ready for it. They may or may not be ready for it, but what I'm hearing you say is there's all these things hitting them at the same time. And someone like you, who's already developed a team over the years that can help them with each part of figuring out the housing issue during divorce. You've got that whole team, and you can bring in that whole team and not make the decision for them, but show them in black and white, in numbers and graphs, and addition columns. Here's what it's like if you keep the house. Here's what it's like if you sell the house. Here are the things that you need to be worried about for your house. Would that be accurate?
That's 100% accurate. Because honestly, my goal when I meet with anyone who wants to have a conversation about their property, their divorce, the process is not, my goal is never to list or list their house or get them as a buyer. My hope is to be a resource and to help them amass information that will help them make the best decision for their family. And that's one of the things when you had posed the question to me about, what is the one piece of advice that I would give my friend or somebody who I cared about when it came to divorce. I mean, as you said, 150 came to mind, but the more I really sat on it, for me, it's assembling that team, it's assembling your elephants that circle around you and help you navigate that process. And I have my own team that helps people, but I mean, I always think, obviously, you're kind of the quarterback, your lawyer, your first person is sort of that, that person who helps you put the people in place. But you have to have not just a lawyer, but you do need a realtor, you do need a lender, you need financial people who can help you see the whole picture. There are a lot of different, you need somebody who can help you make sure the title is clear. I mean, there are questions surrounding insurance. And so when you're in the middle of that process, I know myself, and like I said, I work with a lot of people who are navigating it. I think you can't always see, because you can't always see what you need, because you're in the middle of it, right? And your reaction, like you're reacting, you're not being, what I would say is, like, you're being reactive, not proactive. And part of the team's job is to help you see things that are coming at you and help you to sort of change your lens and to see it from what you had said, an objective place, not an emotional place. Because as the person in the middle of the storm, I think it's almost impossible sometimes to have that, have that back away and see the big picture. So that's why assembling your team and the trusted people around you. And I think a lot of times people don't want to bring too many people in because they're afraid. they're afraid, they don't want to rock the boat with their spouse, right? They're
Yes.
like, they just want to, because they're used to being like they've been nice. They just want to make it like smooth. They don't want to, they don't want to inflame the situation. They're embarrassed. Like a lot of people probably don't know all their business. They don't want people to know their business.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times that silence, it keeps them in a place where they don't have the people surrounding them to help them secure the best future for them and their family. So
I have you right there. What a great comment. They don't have the people around them to help them secure the best future for them. They don't know that they need those people to make wise decisions for the future for them. That's profound. Not many people. I've done 45,000 divorces. Not many, I would say maybe 2% of that clientele understands that.
no, and I think I think most people feel like that they're handling as best they can, and like they think they can do. I think of it about like when my kids were toddlers, I do it myself. You want to do it yourself, and you don't need their help, and because you don't want to bring the people in, and I think, and you are overwhelmed, so you don't know who to bring in, so you bring in no one.
Yeah.
Except for Sally, who wants to drink a bottle of Chardonnay with you, and that's
I love it. I love
I
it.
count
Yeah,
her, so
that's right. Let's meditate, have a bottle of wine,
right.
loaf of bread, a baguette, and
Right.
we'll get this figured out because you really care about me, Sally. But Sally, you know nothing
Right.
about sewers. Sally,
No.
you know nothing about inspections, and I just had a 48-year boiler looked at yesterday.
Right.
And prayed I didn't need a $50,000 boiler, right? So Sally can't help you. She can emotionally help you, but you need a much bigger team with a team leader like you, with a realtor, team leader. We need these 15 things done. And then we can go back and tell you, this is a good investment. Might be a good investment, but you can't afford it.
Right. Well, and that's part of the team too, because the team, one of the integral people on my team, when we evaluate and we give the information, one of them is I'm gonna walk hand in hand with a lender. Once again, our job and our goal is not to get you to sell your house. For the lender and any financial professionals that they already have involved in their business, those people are able to help them analyze their financial picture so that they can determine is keeping the house, is it in the best interest? We know that, everybody's, I was mad because I didn't want to leave my neighborhood. Like, I wanted to stay there. I wanted my kids to be able to walk the same way to school, and that hurt my heart. And so, but that's at the end of the day, did it make sense? Could I actually afford to stay there? And I think that's one of the things, having a lender who can help them analyze that information and say, this is what is actually possible, and give them hard information to go into the meeting with the lawyer, with the mediator, and say, this is the actual financial picture we have. And our job at that point, we want to help them maintain home ownership eligibility, because it may, at the end of the day, one of the things we need to do is make sure if they can't keep that house, what can they have? Where can they create this new life, this new family, because for some people they can, and other people they cannot. So I think that's a huge component. And as you just alluded to, the other hot button I have is people, being given the house. You're not given the house, this, right? But in the asset division, they're given the house. Well, that house, to your point, has this, they've lived there for 17 years and they haven't had a sewer camera run. So has a sewer lateral? I mean, if you live in the land of trees, like I do, Webster Groves, you probably have a broken sewer lateral.
Yeah.
You need a new roof. That could, if you haven't replaced it, that could be a $20,000. And to your, what if it's a slate roof? What if it's 100? There are so many pieces, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that, along with also helping, there's so many pieces. That the other one I think is huge is the valuation of the home, because a lot of people they'll go online and say, well, Zillow or whatever realtor, whoever the flavor of the day is, that they say my house is worth this. And I can tell you, especially in a shifting market like we're in now, that what things were worth 6 and 12 months ago is not, it may not be the same. And if they didn't factor, Zillow's not factoring in your 17 years of deferred maintenance and your, and all the peeling paint and the fact that, your garage door doesn't close just right. I mean, like, so there are a lot of things, because if you went to sell that house today, if all the market conditions were perfect, but the house doesn't, if they don't match, you're not going to get that information was erroneous. So I'm here to paint the picture. I'm here to give you accurate, like what the real picture is, what you can actually expect. So, and what, and if you were to go to market, if you did an as is number or a number of what you would do when you fixed everything. And once again, that's overwhelming to people. They don't know who to call. They don't know who to get a bid for a sewer, like if the sewer needs to be replaced, they don't know. And that's part of it. So and I don't think that I will probably sell I love to sell houses. I love to help people with that. But this part of what we're talking about is how can I best serve their need at that time? And if they choose to sell a house or buy a house and they want to then interview me and have me work with them further, that's fine, but that's not the expectation.
Mm-hmm. So. The expectation for you and talking to me right now is to let people know there's more than what Zillow says it's worth and how emotionally you're attached to it. There's a whole lot more than that going on. And you have the team, and you can provide the team or tell them what they even need on a team to see what kind of condition their house is really in. And can they break that emotional? It's way better for you to not go bankrupt and lose your house than to try like heck to hold on to that house so the kids can finish out high school, walk into school in that neighborhood.
Correct. And it's hard to see that when your heart's just so broken, right? So, but for me, I find that I'm visual. And so I try to show people a lot of actual data. I use spreadsheets that track documents that I help collect and help them, that I get from other professionals that have to do with their title, their insurance, their mortgage balances, different things that can be gaps when it comes to, information collecting, and also it helps them assist you when we're representing them to, so that when you go into discussions about asset division or mediating those decisions, that you have an accurate picture. I find that a lot of times, sometimes they try to tell you, one of the spouses, wants somebody to keep the house and is trying to convince them that it's worth X, and it's actually not, and so at the end of the day, we just, in that hurt, you have to have the big picture and know that I need people, and I don't cost anything. So, which is also a huge,
wow.
It's like, I know that when I get divorced, I'm like, how much is it going to cost me?
Exactly.
It's scary. people don't get divorced because it costs a lot.
Right. That's right.
So,
and I got to tell you, you don't know what you know. I can't tell this to people. I don't know it. I don't know who to hire. And they don't want to pay these people to hire them. And so I would say 99% of my clients, 99%, 15,000 clients, they made the decision based on an emotion, and it was the best they could do at the time. And they had no idea how that was going to play out in 2 years, 5 years, 7 years. And so many of them lost the house or went into bankruptcy. And now the kids are going to school from the shelter, right? So that's not what's best for the kids. And it sounds like you have a team that unearths all these things that they haven't done over the past 17 years of living there. And it takes that team to really take a picture of that house, almost like a therapy picture of that house, to say, the house just looks like your house to you, but it's really 82 different functioning parts. And you are unaware of those parts. We know those parts, and we can come to you with data and spreadsheets and tell you what those parts look like. And you can look at that and say, there's 75 good parts and the rest are 75 bad parts, the rest are good parts. Okay, I think I get it. I think I get it.
Yeah, it makes it easier to, I always say when I'm helping people make decisions about buying houses in the everyday, I always tell them, I want you to have enough information. And this has nothing to do with divorce, but just in life, I'm like, I want you to have as much information, so much information that you either confidently walk towards that house or you confidently walk away. Like when they're deciding if it's a house to buy or, because I do believe, knowledge is power. And that's one thing we need to give those clients is power, to feel like they can control this, that they're not just being, they're not just taking what is being metered out to them. Because I know I remember my first meeting, and I thought that's what you get to take care of 3 children. I mean, I was like, dude, how does that? So I mean, it's just every revelation is kind of a new shock, and it's very overwhelming. So that's, there's a lot of things that I feel like when you finally get to the point of divorce, there's things you don't think about that we don't, I have full title searches done. You have no idea. We've had horror stories where people have found liens that from one of the spouses, whether it was a credit card or home equity line of credit they didn't know about, or there was a gambling, or they didn't pay contractors. But you agreed to take the house. And if you don't know that, and you've already settled out your divorce and you go to sell it 3 years later, and you have to settle that lien. I mean, there's just so many things that my goal is to limit your exposure,
Yes.
So, and is to put you in the safest position with the information you need to make the best decision for your long-term viability and happiness. Honestly, you're going to be happy in a new house if you have to.
What could be more important besides your children, if you have children? What could be more important than knowing you're in a safe place where you're not going to have to spend $100,000 over the next 2 years in replacement and repair? What could be safer than knowing you're keeping your house and it's in great shape and you're not going to have to do anything, versus, oh my gosh, it's got $52,000 worth of repairs in the next 3 years. How am I going to handle that? Right. What could be safer than that? That's just a gift. And I got to tell you, most realtors don't do that. And most people make the decision without knowing that.
Right.
The decision to stay, and their spouse will push them into it. Oh, you can afford that, or yeah, they're just trying to keep consistency for the kids. And where do you draw that line between how important the twin bed is and the dog is to the child? I don't want to move. Well, honey, if we can't afford this, we're going to be moving over to East St. Louis. So and you can have your dog. Is that what you want? And it's not what the kids want. The kids are going to do just as well as the parents do. And so the more knowledge the parents have, and the more secure they are, not superficially, but in reality, the more secure they are, the more secure their children are going to be.
I agree 100%. I see that a lot in divorce and with elder situations. They're scared they are frightened. People scare them into making decisions that are not in their best interest. There's a lot of fear-based decisions, and they lose a lot of money. And one of the things that especially when it comes to elder care, and when in this situation, I always say, like, wouldn't you rather be the one in control of the situation instead of like waiting for the bankruptcy, or for elders waiting to fall and break a hip? Then you're forced into this decision and you don't have control, And so this is a way what I do is a way to help them control this awful thing that they're going through, give them enough information that they feel confident in their decisions that they're making, whatever those decisions may be.
Confident in the decisions that they're making. There's no better gift than that. And the lawyer can't give them that confidence. The lawyer doesn't have that information.
No, well, I mean, and that's the goal, is just to be a partner with you so that we can help. It's not a good situation. Most people, I've only had a few people who have ever actually been very, very happily divorcing. I mean, it doesn't have to be aggravating or, I mean, it doesn't have to be, there doesn't have to be animosity, but there are very few people who are actually, because there's so much grief involved with that. So that's our job. Our job is to, hold their hand and help them in whatever way they need, because it's not about me. And that's one thing that what in all of my real estate is, at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's not my timeline. It's not my whole, like, I'm there to serve you. And so, and and hopefully sometimes that means I get paid, which is great. My children like that a lot, especially now that they're eating all my food over Christmas break. But I will say, at the end of the day, I really want what I do to help other people make better decisions than what maybe I did and what some of the people I've worked with have done. I wish I would have known a lot of the things that I know now. So
as a divorce lawyer getting divorced, I didn't know all this stuff. I made some bad decisions over emotion.
Right.
I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave this house. Fortunately, I was able to. I've had the time over 30 years to make some recovery from it, but not everybody has that luxury. Not everyone has that luxury. If we can squeeze it in, you mentioned something about grief, the grief that people are going through, and I know you dealt with grief for your children. Can you tell us shortly a little bit about what you experienced with your children and how you help them? Because I think you really help them more than most of my clients can help their children. They want to, they just don't know how. So could you tell me how?
Oh yeah, I can. I mean, it's been 13 years for us, but one of the, obviously they were they were a big reason why it took me so long to get divorced. So they were always, and for most parents, I can say that I know they're the centerpiece of how I make every decision. And I was concerned. I wanted their hearts to be protected, and I didn't want, so that was integral to me. And I had two different, and thankfully I come from a family, big talkers. We like to dialogue, but I had a lot of good input on people who could help us navigate, because I wanted my children to have tools, and this is part of their story, but it's not their story, right? It's not their whole story. And so we did two different things. We used Kids in the Middle, which is an organization that they were able to do group therapy meetings, like fun things with kids their own age. And that was really great for them to be around other people who were in the same place as they were. And then we also did private, and we've had the same wonderful therapist since, I guess it was about 12 years ago. So he started and has sort of navigated life with us, but he was a specialty grief counselor for children. And because it's grief, they're going through, it's a death of our family as we knew it. And so he's been integral just to help give them the words and the safe space to have conversations that they may not want to have with me, but that are okay to have. And I think most people who have met my kids, there's nothing I'm prouder in the whole world of.
Yeah.
They're pretty amazing. But I do believe it's because they've got an amazing tribe of people who love them, but they've had these places to work out how they felt. And that's changed over the years too. And so, when in the beginning we would see Dr. Eichen every week, and then over the years it's changed. But to have that continuity and to know that they can always engage with him, at whatever phase they are in their life, has really given them it's helped them navigate a really tough situation with a lot of resilience. So
if I can sum up, what you've been talking to us about is having knowledge about probably the most expensive or valuable asset in your portfolio, and how to make wise decisions about that you don't know about. So you need experts to do that. And second, you can do that and still protect your children. There are there are other things that can help your children besides staying in their same room, in their twin bed with their dog, right? There are other ways to help your children besides just say, well, we'll just stay in the same house and everybody will be okay. Doesn't work like that. So thank you for those two really important pieces of information about biggest asset probably and how to save the hearts of our children.
Yeah. Thank you, Marta. I appreciate you having me.
The house isn't, the house doesn't take away the grief. It doesn't take away the grief. Talking about it with professionals takes away the grief. So I'm glad you normalize that for people. It's normal for your kids to be grieving and they act in different ways, but you can help them in a way besides keeping a house that's going to drive you into the ground. You get them into counseling.
Well, and you need to be, I needed to be in it too.
Sure, me too.
I know, right?
I agree. Well, thank you so much. You've just given us a wealth of information and wisdom, and people can access this starting next week to review it or to refer it on to friends who may be struggling with the same decisions. So thank you so much, Bethany. I really appreciate it. We wish the best to all of our listeners and viewers, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks, you so much. Bye.